friends.
What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? Everybody, come on into the room. Come on into the room. My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYJr. YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. Come on into the room. Let me know who you are, where you're from. Where you're from, and we got some cool stuff to talk about today regarding Jackson State football, HBCU football, and everything that I've been hearing out here on these streets. I've been going for a while, and this is the first live show. I think this is the first live show, call-in show of 2023. So come on in. Yeah, what up, Jacktown? Jacktown 7785. And everybody, leave your comments. We'll pull them up in the chat because we got Jackson State to talk about. We got Ed Reed to talk about. I want to hear from you all on the new year or some of these players that have been committing, that have signed. I've talked to a few of them. I have a few more lined up. So we've got some really dope stuff. What's going on, Jeffrey Shanks? What's going on, Mika? How you doing, Miss Donna? How is everybody doing? How's everybody doing? So come on in, hit that thumbs up button on your way. We're just going to play the bumper, and we got a lot to talk about right after the bumper. So stay tuned, hit that thumbs up button. Thank you guys for joining us, and I'll see you right after the bumper. Stay tuned. What up, everybody? What up, everybody? If you want to call in here, it's 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. It used to pop up on my notification, so now I have to periodically check it. But what's going on? I see some of my mods in the building. How you doing, Miss Shanita? JSU Tigers. Corey, what's going on? Sleepy Eyes. I hate to say it like that. Marquall, this is my boy right here, Marquall, Corey, class 07 JSU. What's going on, Mississippi in here? So here's a couple of things we got to talk about. And you can go ahead and call in if you want to. Phone lines are open. You can call in all you want. But today I'm here to talk about a couple of things that I've been hearing. I've been keeping my ears to the streets. I got back from Vegas, and now I want to hear from you guys because there's a lot that's happened since I last been on here on live call-in. It's a whole lot that's happened. First thing that's happened, we found out a couple of we did some investigative digging, and we found out some of the coaches. We've talked about that in previous shows, and that's cool. We see some of that stuff. What's going on, Daryl and Mikey Taylor and Kingdom Ambassador Eddie, all you guys, Miss Shanita, my mod. So I've been told, shout out to my folks out there in these streets that let me know, just for the JSU fans, you seen the picture, you seen the cover art. John Huggins, from what I've heard, John Huggins, who hit the transfer portal, is back in Jackson. He's going to play for Coach T.C. Taylor. He's going to try to guard the yard. He's going to help them in their quest to three-peat as SWAC champions and bring home the first ever SWAC championship. And if you know John Huggins, he was a transfer from Florida. He played, last few seasons, missed a couple of games last year for injuries. DB, safety, corner, hybrid, and he is a big-time playmaker because he plays in the box and he hits hard. He makes a lot of plays in the backfield. So John Huggins, from what I've been told, John Huggins is back on campus. So if you see the thumbnail to this video, you see it's a picture of John Huggins. Shout out to my boy Mark Wall. He said JSU by 30 all year, baby. Yeah. So also, and if you can do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. We're starting to get a few folks in here. What's good, Frat? Mackie Taylor. What's good? 06 to the good bros. Daryl. Let's see Miss Sabrina. What's going on? And so John Huggins being back is huge because John Huggins gives you more depth at that safety position, gives you more experience at that safety / defensive back position. And it gives you a guy that can play. You know what I mean? Like, because JSU's bringing in a ton of guys, right? Like, and they're at one point, they're just guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, we think that they're good players, but you really don't know. You're kind of hoping that they're good players. You're expecting them to be good players, but you really don't know until they actually hit the field. Right? Like, you don't know. I mean, there's a number of reasons why people transfer, and sometimes they transfer because they're just not good enough to play where they're at. And so that's why having a proven guy like a John Huggins, who had 22 tackles, including like 3 or 4 tackles for loss from a safety defensive back position, is big. That's huge. That's huge because you know what you're getting in John Huggins. You're getting experience. You're getting a guy that can play. You're getting a guy that can hit. You're getting a guy that can make plays. You're getting a guy that's been able to start for you for 2 years. So that's huge, getting him back. Another thing that I heard, just what I heard. I told you I keep my ears to the streets, man. The folks down at Jackson, they show me a lot of love. They let me know. Yes, it is great news, Bishop. It is great news. He was in Riggins' video. Okay, yes. So that's huge. He was in Regensville. RQQ. Hey, no offense to the Qs. Y'all know who started it first. Y'all know what's up. Okay, but anyway, and so what up, Cortez? You're new here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming through. So Huggins is back. Another thing that I'm hearing, I told you I keep my ears to the streets. I keep my ears to the streets because I try to deliver messages to you all. I also have heard that JSU is in deep talks. Now it's not official. Deep talks to bring back Baron Hobson. Baron Hobson was a linebacker for the Tigers the last couple of years, number 47. If you guys know the Tigers, number 47. Baron Hobson, if you get Baron Hobson back with the additions that you've made and with John Huggins coming back, I think you're the favorites in the SWAC again. The only reason why everybody won't choose you as favorites in the SWAC is because of FAMU. Now, don't get me wrong. FAMU's made a ton of great things. They've done a ton of great things, but until you prove that you can beat the champs, I'm still choosing the champs, especially when the champs, JSU in this case, has so much talent. They just have a boatload of talent. Like, it's just so much talent that it's crazy, even with the unproven guys. Because some of these unproven guys, yes, they're unproven, but there's a whole lot of guys coming back. And with a guy like Baron Hobson, who, number 47, who was just all over the field last year, I really wanted to see Jeremiah Brown come back, but we saw Jeremiah Brown, migrated to Boulder. I really wanted Tavion Beasley to come back, but we see Tavion Beasley has migrated to Boulder. The obvious have already made it to Boulder. Travis Shador, those guys, Shiloh. You know what I mean? Like, we're not surprised by that. But the only reason why anybody would pick FAMU at this moment, now I'm not saying things can't change, but the only reason why anybody with a brain would choose FAMU over JSU right now is because Willie Simmons is a proven coach. Willie Simmons gets the job done. Willie Simmons is tough. Willie Simmons is nice. Willie Simmons knows what the freak he is doing. And they know their quarterback. They know who's going to be their gunslinger. Whereas JSU has 4 guys and potentially 5. I'm still hearing there may be a 5th one coming in. 4 guys that they have to choose between. That's John Brown, PJ Hatter, the freshman. He probably won't win, but he's a freshman. Phillip Short and Zion McDonald. 4 really talented players, 4 completely different styles. All 4 of these guys play totally different, but they don't know who it is. And whoever it is an unproven guy. Phillip Short's only played JUCO. Zai and John haven't played much at all during their college career. And PJ's a freshman. So you really don't know what you're going to get, even though his number 66 touchdowns in a senior year is just absurd. But that's the thing. And so someone asked, what about Patrick Willis? I think Patrick Willis is going to TCU. Patrick was on an official visit to TCU like this year, like a week ago. I think he's probably at TCU. I think that ship has sailed. And speaking of Patrick and Geronte, that's the thing. So yes, Mike, with Geronte coming back, and if you can get Barron to come back with some of these other guys that you brought in, like, they're improving, but somebody's going to be good out of the bunch, whether it's Jarvis Jenkins or some of these other guys that you brought in. But with Gervonta and if you're able to get Barron back, y'all seen that attacking style defense that Dennis Thurman was able to put out there on the field. The reason why they were so successful is because they had dogs. You're losing Justin Reagan to the pros. He's going to be in the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Shout out to Justin Reagan, along with Deshaun Warren and Tony Gray as of now. There may be more guys added, but as of now, Tony Gray, Nugget, and Justin Reagan are all playing. Reagan are all playing in the HBCU Legacy Bowl and will compete in the HBCU Combine, which will be, I think that'll do the most benefit for Nugget. I know I'm going everywhere with all this stuff, but I think, just really quick tangent. I think the HBCU Legacy Bowl will have the most benefit, will be the most beneficial, and have the most impact for Nugget. Why? Because I think Nugget is extremely talented. I think Nugget is so freaking good, man. I really do. I think, how can I say this? Because I watched the Coach Prime documentary on Amazon, and I don't like the picture that they painted of Nugget. I don't. I'd be honest. I mean, I know they say, hey, it struggle with we got our first caller. It looks like somebody's calling in. They say you struggle with mental health and things like that, but I think it was deeper than that. I think they could have did Nugget a disservice on that documentary. But that's just me. What's going on? You're on with Jeff. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, what's up, Jeff? So I just have a theory.
Yeah, what's going on?
It involves Quay Davis. So I think what kind of
I haven't got to that, but yeah, go for it.
I think what kind of happened was, well, yeah, it's not about the issue that we all saw on IG, but
Okay, yeah.
so I have a theory about why he entered the portal. So I think originally, Coach Brown was going to bring in like 11 players from Jackson State, but when Kevin Coleman fell through, I think it's possible that Coach Brown sort of reached out to Quay Davis to enter the portal to sort of supplement, to replace Kevin Coleman. But that's just my theory.
Now, I mean, you might have something to that, man. We can't. Hey, appreciate you calling in. We hung up fast. Appreciate you calling in. And that Mark Wall's like, y'all forgetting about KJ. Yeah, I mean, no offense to KJ, but we got to see KJ on the field. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about the guys I've seen on the field so far. Now, let's talk about the Quay Davis thing real quick. Let's go ahead and get this out the way because since he brought it up. What's going on with Willie Gaines? I don't know. We got to talk to Willie about that. I haven't heard anything about Willie. Mark Wall, man. Mark Wall be having everything. He said Quay Davis is going to Texas State. Quay Davis is from Texas, from the Dallas area. But let's talk about Quay Davis real quick. And for those of you who don't know, Quay Davis he's been on the Jackson State roster since Coach Prime has been there, since that first fall. He was actually, before Travis and Kevin Coleman, if we just want to be technical, Quay Davis was actually the highest ranked recruit Coach Prime had brought to Jackson State. If you go by 247 Sports, he was higher ranked than Shador, than Aubrey, than everybody. He was the highest ranked recruit before Travis and Kevin Coleman. I think even when they came, he's still number 3. And so, but he never really saw the field. And they wanted to try him out at running back. They tried him at receiver, and just a crowded room. He never was able to get onto the field. And then, obviously Prime goes to Colorado. And Quay, originally, he had my boy Light on. Shout out to Jonathan. Jonathan made Quay a graphic talking about how he's staying at Jackson State. So the graphic originally said he was staying. And then, like a few days later, he entered the portal. And I was like, okay, whatever. And that's where that caller had that theory. He's like, yo, I think he hit the portal after he announced he was staying because Prime saw the writing on the wall with Kevin Coleman. Kevin Coleman ends up where I'm at in Louisville. And then that's when he feels like Prime kind of told Quay maybe he'll make him, give him a place or whatever. So, whatever. So Quay goes back to Jackson for, I don't know how long he was gone. And if you don't know this is the story. I don't know how long Quay Davis was gone from Jackson State, but he had to have been gone for a long time. And he goes back to Jackson, Mississippi, and someone broke into his apartment. And he showed that all over Instagram. And I hate that for that young man because that's wrong. Somebody going in and stealing all your stuff. I mean, I've had my stuff broken into before. It's the worst feeling in the world. You just feel violated. It's not cool at all, bro. It's not cool. Like, it's just not. I was a kid when it happened to my house and it was traumatic, honestly. And so he shows they just ransacked his apartment. Just went through everything, just destroyed everything. And I hate that so much for him. And I hope they're able to find out who did that to him. But what I didn't like from Quay, what I did not like from Quay was that he made it seem like it was the school's fault that his apartment got broken into. Now, I don't know about y'all. But I just told you I've had my place broken into before. Break-ins happen everywhere. Break-ins quite literally happen everywhere in the country. That break-in had nothing to do with Jackson State. That break-in, from what I understand, from what I was told, his apartment is off campus, and he has either one or multiple roommates. And so, having that information, because I still feel bad for him, and I still hate that it happened. It still should have never happened. But to kind of pin that on Jackson State, like that was the university's fault, like that was JSU's fault, like they could have prevented that, like they had something to do with that, just wasn't right. That just wasn't right to me. I don't know about y'all, but I can't, that was not cool to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like almost like, oh, JSU, it's y'all fault this is happening to me and y'all want me to stay and this is how y'all do me. No, dog. No. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not cool that someone violated your place, went into your space and destroyed your property. That's not cool at all. And whoever did that needs to be held accountable for that. But you can't put that on the university. You can't put that on TC Taylor, Coach O, Ashley Robinson, President Hudson, the good folks, the good fans and supporters of Jackson State. Now, somebody down there had something to do with that, but it wasn't them folks. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't them folks. So I don't know. That's my biggest thing. That I don't know. Like I just didn't like that. That was the only problem that I had with what he put out there, is that he made it seem like someone from the university had something to do with his stuff getting broken into. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, man. We're starting to get kind of heavy in here. We got a couple of hundred deep. Shout out to DJ Scrap Dirt, man. Shout out to DJ. Let me read some of these comments. It says, Jeff, people still have had stuff stolen from me on campus in the 80s, but people steal all the time and everywhere. It's not just a JSU thing. Just say you don't want to be a JSU. And that's the thing. Perfect, Miracle. If you don't want to be there, just say I don't want to be there. But don't try to make it seem like you're leaving because someone from the university or someone broke into your place and stole your stuff. That's not like someone. I'm not saying someone didn't come into your place and steal your stuff, but don't put it on the school. Don't put it on the university. Don't put it on the football program. Don't put it on Coach TC, Coach O, none of that. Because that to me is unfair to them. Now, don't get me wrong. You can put it on social media and be like, damn, somebody broke into my stuff, messed up all my stuff. Man, this ain't cool, dog. Like, I don't like that. That's it. But to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, be like, oh, this is the university fault. That wasn't cool to me. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, man. You can call in here if you want to get in here. 727-731-8723. 727-731-8723. I do want to highlight a couple of folks. You guys know I shout out Tiger Talk all the time. Those guys are dope. They're good with me. I love those guys. They're awesome. Couple of other people I want to shout out because they keep me on my toes. They keep me informed. Believe it or not, these folks keep me informed, and they always like when I get on Twitter, I see them every single time I get on Twitter. The first person, someone called. Dang, my bad. If you want to call, my bad. Caller, if you want to call back. I must have missed it. Like I said, I used to get notifications about that, but I don't know what happened with that. But the first person I want to shout out on Twitter, and I hope I'm saying the name right. I hope I'm saying it right. I don't know. Jelena, I think she is a freshman at JSU. Yo, she be on it. Jelena has the scoop on everything. She be on top of all of it. She's tweeting all the recruits. She's letting I always know when folks is getting offered. I always see the TC interviews, and we're gonna talk about this TC interview too. By the way, he did a couple of interviews with some of the TV stations down there in Jackson. Jelena be on it. She be retweeting it. She said, love you, coach, but get some sleep. Nah, ain't no time for sleep. Coach is working. He's rebuilding his roster. He's getting his roster right for spring. But Jelena be on top of it, and that's how I know any and every single time someone gets an offer. And let's talk about the offers, because this offer just went out in the last hour. And look, because I've already seen this, but have you guys noticed this? Let me know in the chat. Let me know if you in the chat if you've noticed this. Have y'all noticed the size on some? We know Jackson State is rebuilding their offensive line, right? Like we know that they've got to get some big boys up front, right? They lost 2/3 of their offensive line, so they got to get some big dudes. But have y'all noticed that the offensive linemen that Coach TC, Coach O, and the rest of the Jackson State staff are offering is massive? like they're massive. Like every single one of them are like 6'6" and taller, 330, 340, 350, like just big old boy. I mean, just big old boys. This is amazing. Yes, she is dope. She be on top of it. This is amazing because this lets you know he is going to continue. He wants to continue to build that big time, big boy offensive line, big boy, big time defensive line of players that can go play at a FBS program, at a Power 5 program, but that wants to be at Jackson State, that wants to be able to be dominant, that wants to be able to move people around. And see, that has been the problem for the SWAC against the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. If we want to be honest, the MEAC is more physical than the SWAC. Why? I don't know. I have yet to figure that out. I don't know. I haven't been in it long enough. I'm still gathering my research. I'm still learning every single day. I still talk to people all the time to try to figure some of these things out. But in the Celebration Bowl, not necessarily this year's Celebration Bowl, but in the Celebration Bowl, there's been 7 of them, 6, 7 of them. MEAC's won all of them but one. Shout out to the Graham fam that won the one. But they've been able to push the SWAC around in Celebration Bowls years past. Once again, not necessarily this one this year. This year was fantastic. This one this year was just amazing. This one this year was probably the best one ever. And this one this year was the best national championship game in the country, period, barring any level. Let me know in the chat if you think I'm telling the truth. This year's Celebration Bowl, I mean, it was damn sure better than the college football playoff championship between TCU and Georgia. I mean, that was a snooze fest of all snooze fest. But this year's Celebration Bowl is way better than the FCS national championship between South Dakota State and North Dakota State. Another snooze fest. This year's Celebration Bowl, with the roughly 50,000 people that were in attendance there, and another 2.5 million that watched it at home, was probably the best. Was the best Celebration Bowl period, and it was the best national championship game period in the country. Any level, it was the best. And so, to get back to the Celebration Bowl and not just get there, but actually win it, you have to continue to build that offensive line. The skill guys, I think JSU is good on skill guys. I think they have one of the best skill units in the entire country once again. Dang, my bad. If y'all calling in, man, my bad, man. I'm sorry. I'm missing all the calls today. Call back if you want to call in 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. But I think JSU has the best skill unit in the entire SWAC once again. I think they have one of the best skill units in the country once again. When you talk about receivers, if Willie Gaines come back, whether he does or not, oh, that's cool. But when you're talking about a Trevante Rucker, you're talking about, there we go, I think we got a call. You're talking about a Malachi Wideman. You're talking about a Rico Powers back. This is a tough skill unit with Savion Wilkerson, 1,000-yard rusher in the backfield. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff? This is McCarver. I called in to you before, man.
What's going on, boss man? What's on your mind?
Hey, first, I want to say, man, I appreciate the interview you did with that you've been doing, and the one you just did with Josh Short. That was a great interview, man. Those are Josh and his brother. They're some great young men now, and people gonna say who know me. I'm a little biased because those are my cousins, but they are great young men. They are great young men. Now, when Quay Davis put that on, I'm gonna say this right. I'm what the youth call old, but I don't beat up on the youth. I'm 51, right?
Okay.
But what Quay Davis put on YouTube and blaming Jackson State, right? I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people in this chat probably will. But, it's easy to beat up on anything black. And his disrespect for what he was playing came from his head who recruited him there, Deion Sanders. He's been disrespectful to Jackson State and all HBCUs. So anybody who love him and want to be under him, they're going to do the same thing. He's following the leader. But nobody tried to embarrass him when he got in his troubles. The reason a couple of those Power 5 schools left Quay Davis alone. And I'm not going to mention what he did.
That is a good point, sir. You make it. I'm with you when you're right. You're making some points there. His coach actually came to his defense. Jackson State and Prime and all those guys actually came to his defense. So you're making it good. And even when the Clarion Ledger tried to paint Quay as a villain, Coach Prime and JSU stood strong behind him. And really, so I'm with you. I'm right there with
you. And so now the disrespect is uncalled for, but black people in this system, in this country, we are easy targets. We're easy targets for everybody. So now we have become easy targets for ourselves, especially HBCUs, man. You should just hear some of the things people say about, I'm talking about black people. And then some of these people that call themselves pro-black. They have a problem with HBCUs. We have a problem with being around one another. We all of them, when they look at their leader who's searching for white acceptance, Deion Sanders. And I know you like Deion Sanders, but I lost a lot of respect for him. I'm just going to be honest. Actually, I have little to no respect for him. Little to no respect. But they want to take black culture to go be around white folk because that's how they want to be accepted. You don't want to be respected with your own. You want to be accepted by people that that didn't want you there at all. So, and that's all I have. And, and these young men, and I hope some of these young men, wherever they go, I wish them the best of luck, right? I hope Colorado don't win a game. I'll be honest. I hope they do it. The players deliver. I hope they be okay. But if they don't win a game, it wouldn't bother me. But I do wish those young men success. Even Quay Davis, I wish somebody could pull him to the side and let him know that was wrong. Because I won't beat up on the youth. I would talk to the youth. but somebody have to let them know. Somebody have to let them know when they're wrong. Man, I thank you for taking my call, man. Peace and one love, man.
Hey,
Everybody, I'm gonna keep tuning in, bro. Peace.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. It means everything. Be sure to call again, bro. I appreciate it. No, yeah, I mean what he said is absolutely right. And I had a conversation like this with Dr. Boyce Watkins. I don't know if you guys know Dr. Boyce Watkins, but Dr. Boyce Watkins is like family to me. And we had this similar conversation. He has conversations like this all the time on his platform, just about white acceptance for Black people. And I feel like I have a total non-bias from this because I didn't go to an HBCU. Now I'm super, I mean, as y'all see on my wall, like I'm a Black scholar, right? Like I love Black people. I didn't attend an HBCU. I actually attended a PWI. If you've been on this channel, you understand this. I went to Western Kentucky University. I've never made no bones about that, but I was introduced into this HBCU space when Coach Prime came over, and I loved it. It mixed all of my favorite things. It mixed Black people, Black culture, and football, music, food, and sports. It's all together. And so that's why I was like, yo, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't never leaving. Like this, like it's like once you get ingratiated into it and you learn about these things, it's hard for you to ever turn back. And that's why books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth and stuff are very important to read. And studying people like Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad, and et cetera, et cetera. But to say all of that, it's like, yeah, some of the biggest critics of Black folks are some of the what Dr. Boyce would call, Dr. Boyce coined this term, and I thought it was hilarious at the time, but then it became more and more true. And I know this is not about football. We'll get back to football. But he said some of the biggest white supremacists in the community is Black people. And when he first said that, I laughed. I was like, yo, that doesn't make no sense. Like, what are you talking about? But then I started seeing things. And when Deion went to Colorado, it really opened it up. It really showed. It was like, yo, like, okay, you can be happy for him and you can justify why you feel like he should have went there. And that's cool. Like, that's fine. I'm going to still talk about Prime. Like, that's cool. I didn't like it, but it was cool. But at the same time, it was like, yo, you don't have to bash Jackson State to big up Prime for getting Colorado. Like, you don't have to bash HBCUs and the culture and the people that, like, these are still people too. You don't have to poo-poo on them and talk bad about them and act like they ain't nothing just to say congratulations to him to going to Colorado. That was my whole thing. That was my whole thing. That's always been my thing, and I'll never leave that alone. But if you want to get in here, you can call in. We can talk about football. 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. We're talking about, if you came in late, yes, Dr. Claude Anderson. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. But if you want to, if you came in here late, because we got a lot more people, we probably doubled since we first started. From what I've heard, I told you I keep my ears to the streets. Hit that thumbs up button too. We're in here kind of heavy. I keep my ears to the streets. From what I've heard, John Huggins, the defensive back, safety, corner, transfer from Florida, is back on campus. He was going to play for Coach TC. He's going to play for JSU this fall. It's a big addition that adds more depth to that secondary at JSU. It adds a player that's proven. It adds a player that can play. You know, some of the other guys, I believe they can play too, but this is a proven player. This is a player that you've seen in a JSU jersey, that number 6, in a JSU helmet, in JSU thigh pads, on JSU fields, making plays. So that's huge, getting John Huggins. Also, from what I've heard, JSU is hoping to get Baron Hobson back. They're hoping to get Baron Hobson, number 47, the linebacker, back on campus as well. He's still in the portal, from what I understand. He hasn't committed anywhere. He's still lingering out there in the portal. You know, maybe he ends up somewhere else. But as of now, JSU, Coach TC, Coach O, and the rest of those coaches who will be announced. Ooh, you thought you got me. There'll be some big time announcements come signing day. Let's call it signing day, because most announcements come. Because think about it. On signing day, well, Baron Hobson, let me finish that state real quick. Baron Hobson's still in the portal. They're hoping to get Baron Hobson back. And so anyway, moving forward, Jackson State has been offering a ton of offensive linemen, mainly the guys in the 6'6" to 6'8" range, mainly in the range of 310 to 330, 35 pounds, big old boys, like the biggest of big boys. And they are hoping to land a couple of them. There's a couple of more big-time commitments that are coming probably by signing day. You saw they received a commitment from a 6'4" wide receiver last night. I think it was last night. They got the 6'4" wide receiver. They also got the defensive tackle from LSU to commit. So those are 2 more bodies that are going to come in, contribute. That's why I said the skill positions at Jackson State, from running backs, wide receivers, those type of guys, I think they're solid. Defensive backs are solid. I think you can add some more depth at the linebacker position, and you can never have enough offense and defensive linemen. You can never have enough of those, because with offense and defensive linemen, someone always gets injured. It's a physical game. Those are physical positions. So you need depth behind those guys. And so getting more offensive linemen, I think you can expect more commitments on the O-line. I think you can expect more commitments on the D-line. But signing day is going to be a big day for Jackson State in February. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
Hey, how's it going, Jeff? First time caller. This is England Eddie.
How you doing, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm 53 years old. I've been a Jackson State fan for about 40 years.
Oh, yes, sir.
And oh yes. And I'm from Mississippi, but I've been living in Texas for over 20 years.
Okay.
So I am a diehard Jackson State fan. And I wanted to say about the crime, when people talk about the crime in Jackson, a lot of that crime is due to, if you notice, you know Larry Hoover, correct?
Yes, sir, I do.
I'm going to give you a little insight about the SIP. Larry Hoover's born, he's from Jackson.
Wow, I had no idea.
He was born in Jackson. I'm going to go off topic a little bit, but I'm going to give you a little insight about the SIP. The Black P. Stone Ranger leader, he was from Mississippi.
Okay.
The Gangster Disciple leader, he was from Mississippi. People in the South, I'm a 60s baby. People in the South in the 40s, 30s, and 50s, they migrated to Chicago.
Yes, I do.
They migrated to St. Louis. So it's a lot of connection with the gangs when you see a lot of crime in Jackson area. So you got families there. Mm-hmm. So when families get in trouble in Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, they come back to the South. And they got a connection. It's a deep connection that only the people from the SIP really know how deep it is. So when you see a lot of crime, that's part of it. You got a lot of gangs. A lot of people don't understand it. They don't know it nationwide. But being from the South, from the SIP, us, the people that are from there, we know, why some of the crime is there, but it don't make it right. We would all like for it to go away, but Mississippi, Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, those areas got strong connections. St. Louis, very strong connections because you got families. So if you're born in another place, let's say for instance, like Snoop Dogg, he's born in L.A., but his family's from Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So when you grow up, that's all you hear from your mother and father, and uncles and aunts. You're still a product of Mississippi because they have the ways, the culture. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So everything that's in your household, they're going to be talking about the SIP. I don't care if you live in Hollywood. I don't care if you live in New York, Jamaica. Everything is going to come from where you originate from.
Absolutely.
And, like I said, I'm 53 years old. I just want to get some of the younger people an insight that they don't know. I'll say from the age of 40 up, we have a different way of how we was raised, mm-hmm. And, so it's another generation that's here today, but it doesn't make it right. I'm a JSU fan. I want to see JSU. Some of us old cats, we wanted Jackson State to leave the SWAC years ago, some of us. But when we used to talk about it, people it was like unheard of. They didn't understand what we was talking about. We're like, Jackson State has they're in the right position to move up. They got the fans, they got the numbers, they have the facility, and the only thing they need to do, like every other HBC, they need to get the administration. You got to have people that's passionate about their job, not just someone that has a degree and you give me a job because you know me, Jeff. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. We got some other folks on the line, though, but I appreciate you calling in, sir.
Okay, have a good one.
You too, Mr. Eddie. Yeah, you too. Now that's funny because the Mississippi connections to a lot of things that I do know, because a lot of, like you said, when slavery ended and the Great Migration, a lot of people from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana migrated north, right? A lot of them went to St. Louis, a lot of them went to Chicago. Most of them, a whole lot of them went to Chicago. When Chicago, some went over to Texas. You know what I mean? Like, I understand all of that. I did not know Larry Hoover was from Jackson, Mississippi. Had no idea. Like, that that just blew my mind. But that is pretty interesting to say the least. Yeah, JSU not moving out. I don't see JSU moving out of the SWAC. I don't think it would be beneficial to JSU or the SWAC for them to move out of the SWAC at this point. I don't know what it was like, years ago. I mean, but at the same time, I think the SWAC as a whole, including JSU, continues to rise in relevancy. I told you we were going to talk about Ed Reed. Now, from what I understand, Ed Reed's introductory press conference will probably happen. It was, if they didn't get it in by Friday, it's probably going to happen either Monday or Tuesday next week. We see more and more pictures of Ed Reed popping up with Bethune-Cookman gear, popping up on Bethune-Cookman's campus. He was on Bethune-Cookman's campus talking about the DeMar Hamlin situation, and prayers up to DeMar Hamlin. Looks like he continues to recover. But Ed Reed is there in Daytona Beach. Ed Reed is actually sending out offers. We've actually seen kids, young athletes, refer to, hey, I just got off the phone with, and they tagging him, Ed Reed. Just got off the phone with Ed Reed. Thank you for extending the offer. Let me see if I can find a couple of those, because Ed Reed's out here putting in work. Even though he hasn't been formally introduced, he knows he's the head coach of Bethune-Cookman. We know he's the head coach of Bethune-Cookman. And so, like, you're seeing tweets like this one. Shout out to Yard Talk, Miss LaShonda Love. She's been retweeting the heck out of stuff. And so, like, she's another person that I see a lot of information from. LaShonda Love, a.k.a. Yard Talk HBCU on Twitter. You see Ed Reed after a great conversation with 20 ER, meaning 20 Ed Reed. I'm blessed and honored to say I've received a scholarship from the University of Bethune-Cookman. So, is it the University of Bethune-Cookman or is it Bethune-Cookman University? Somebody let me know in the chat. I don't know which one it is. But Ed Reed's out here putting in work, because the name SWAC and the conference, the SWAC, holds weight. And people will say, and to some extent, it's like, Deion Sanders, the reason why you're only able to do whatever. Yeah, but somebody had to give Deion Sanders a chance, because Arkansas didn't do it. Florida State didn't do it. But the school in the SWAC, the school in Jackson, Mississippi, gave him the chance. BCU. So yeah, Bethune-Cookman University. Yeah, kids will learn that. They mess that up all the time. But yeah, so to say that, yeah, he played a big part in it. We're not acting like he didn't, but they played a damn big part in making sure he got to Colorado. And I think a lot of fans were excited when he went on CBS Morning after, the weeks of, back and forth between him and university or whatever. He finally went on CBS Morning with Gail and all those other folks on CBS Morning, and it said, if it wasn't for Jackson State, I wouldn't be here. And I think that's all the people wanted. I think all they wanted was to hear from Coach to say, if it wasn't for Jackson State, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I think a lot of people, when they heard that, slept better at night. I think a lot of people, when they finally heard that, finally was able to put it all to rest, everything that's transpired with Coach Prime. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
What's going on, man? I had to call right back. Let me say this, right?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. This is Bakari.
Go for it, Bakari. What's on
when I hear people, what you just said about Deion and people talking about what Deion brought to the SWAC. See, you're a young man. You're much younger than me.
Yes, sir.
But I want everybody to understand. Steve McNair had more buzz at Alcorn. Go look and see how many games Alcorn State played on ESPN. And I'm saying that, and I ain't taking a shot at JSU because I'm a JSU fan. I'm from Mississippi, so I'm a JSU fan. I'm an Alcorn fan. I'm a Mississippi Valley State fan. I'm just an HBCU fan, period. But my two teams was Jackson State and Alcorn. But what I'm saying is, Deion bought the light. The light was there. Steve McNair finished third in the Heisman voting. Steve McNair was drafted in. I think he was the fourth person taken by the Houston Oilers. Mm-hmm. The point I'm making, you don't need Deion. What he did, he did. I won't knock and say he didn't do anything, right? Because he did. He did do something. It was a reciprocal relationship because he received from Jackson State just like Jackson State received from him. But if we continue to get good players and we continue to win, and when Jackson State go out next year and beat Texas State, and we continue to can get to where we can compete and beat these smallest FBS schools, you understand? That's going to bring more attention. We just have to keep it. We just have to keep the movement going right now. This ain't the first time that it happened. You can go on YouTube now. You can find Steve McNair at Alcorn State, and you can see some of his games that he played on ESPN too. On ESPN,
Let me push back on you a little bit, though. Let me push back on you a little bit, because you're not wrong at all, first of all, about none of the Steve McNair stuff. Like, we all know that. The only difference between then and now, one, that was over 20, that was in the 90s. This is 2023. And so what I'm saying is kids that are in college right now, except for like Stetson Bennett or something, they weren't alive when that happened. Right, the only kid in college that's left that was alive when Steve McNair was playing at Alcorn is Stetson Bennett. I mean, like, but besides that, we're talking about most kids 18 to 24, and this is the new age of social media. And so, in the new age of social media, a lot of these kids didn't know a whole lot about HBCUs. They know about some of their favorite players. They know about or some of the best players of all time, the Jerry Rices of the world, the Walter Paytons, the Michael Strahans, et cetera, but they didn't know about the schools that they played for, or they didn't really know a whole lot about the conference they came from. And the reason why I can say that is because I talked to a whole lot of kids, right? Like, I interview a lot of these kids on my platform, these young men, let me say it like that, these young men on my platform. And when I asked them straight up, especially when Prime was there, and especially the ones that was committing to Jackson State, I said, yo, what did you know about HBCUs before Prime, before Jackson State started recruiting you? And a lot of them be like, I ain't know a whole lot. I ain't know a whole lot. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know. But once I learned and once I committed and got tapped in with the fan bases and things, like, that's when I I got excited in that. And it was, honestly, I can say the same thing for myself. Like, when I learned, like, I knew about HBCUs, of course, but I didn't know a whole lot about. I knew Walter Payton went to Jackson State. That was it. That was literally it. I had never been to Mississippi before in my life. But then when I learned and I got ingratiated, and it's like a light switch went off. It was like, whoa, like, how have I never heard of this? How have I never been a part of this my entire life? But I didn't grow up in Mississippi or Alabama. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't grow up in Louisiana. And so it wasn't a part of my life. But now that Prime, and whether he's there or not, it's always going to be a part of my life, just moving forward. And so that's why where I can give him credit for that, because there's people that's going to leave with Prime, right? There's platforms that's even left with Prime, right? Like, whole platforms have shifted their gears, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they shifted their gears to go to Colorado or whatever. But at the same time, there's a ton of people like there's a ton of people like myself that'll never leave. That they came because Deion Sanders was there, but they'll never leave for the rest of their lives. Like never, ever. Like, I'll never not be a JSU fan moving forward. I'll never not be a fan of the SWAC moving forward. I'll never not be a fan of HBCU football moving forward. And that, to his credit, I can give Deion Sanders credit for that.
And Jeff, I agree, right? Yeah. I agree. Some of these young people didn't know, so it's people my age to talk to them. That's why I bet you, if you was in my area, that's all I talk about. This is where you take your talent. But the point that I'm making, when you hear people say that, right? Because I've even heard people my age say, man, they've never had this type of buzz till Deion Sanders went to HBCU. No. Name another time an HBCU was invited to play in a bowl game. It was just against the NCAA rules. Absolutely. Alcorn State with Steve McNair was invited to play in the Liberty Bowl.
Absolutely. I had Dr. Cavill come on here talking about that. Absolutely, I agree.
The movement is back now, and it's people my age to talk to the younger ones, so the movement can continue, so we don't go back to being stagnant. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, man.
That's it.
I agree with you, boss man, but I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you calling in, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why it's like, people be like, oh, like, because whether y'all believe me or not, I literally do read every single comment. And folks will be on my comments and be like, oh, you're so mad because Prime left. No, I can be disappointed at someone and still appreciate what they did. I can be disappointed or disagree with someone and still appreciate what they were able to do. You know what I mean? And appreciate what the accomplishments that they made. Just because I criticize them or don't like the way they moved in a certain kind of way, don't mean I hate them. You know what I mean? Like, just like if you a kid, right? Your mama, your daddy, they give you a spanking. That don't mean they hate you, right? They give you a little tapping on the butt and they end up giving you some ice cream the next day. You know what I mean? You end up getting pizza that night for dinner. They end up cooking some real, or if you in Mississippi, they making some real good food or take you down to Stamps or something to get a burger. I don't know. Like, it's not that they don't hate you. They might have been mad or temporarily mad in the moment, but that don't mean that they hate you or that they're angry about. They just didn't like what you did, but they move on. They get over it. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
Hey, Darnell, how you doing?
What's going on, boss man? What's on your mind?
Hey, statement didn't question. The first statement is kind of piggyback on the last caller. Black flight is worse than white flight. I'm going to leave that where it's at. But let me ask you this. How you feel about a realignment? Because it'll be a crying shame for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years that Jackson State and the Florida A&M game is going to dictate who goes to the SWAC championship. Now, wouldn't you think it'd be better to move either one on opposite sides? Because check this out. Whoever comes out of the Jackson State and Florida A&M side, they're going to crush whoever on the opposite side. They are. So how do you feel about that?
Well, appreciate you calling in. I'm gonna go ahead and take you off here, but because you got some static in the background. But let's talk about that. Okay, so one, I will say that this is the last year of the current format of the Orange Blossom Classic. And what I mean by that is Jackson State and FAMU will play at the Orange Blossom Classic at the beginning of the year, once again this year. But after this year, they won't be playing, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I understand, Jackson State and FAMU will probably be playing, after this year, after the 2023 season, they won't be playing in September. Now whether they're going to realign the conferences, that's not going to happen. I'm going to just be honest. Conferences don't do that. The only thing that could possibly happen, and because there are 12 teams in the SWAC, and I honestly would prefer if this happened like sooner than later, is they'll probably get rid of divisions. You see a lot of conferences right now, the ACC and the Pac-12, different conferences, they're getting rid of divisions. And what that does is that allows the two best teams, no matter who they are, no matter what technical division they're supposed to be in, to play in the SWAC championship. And so therefore, if the SWAC gets rid of divisions, which I hope they do, which a lot of the big conferences are doing this, and I think it's a smart, logical thing to do. If you get rid of the divisions, if FAMU only loses one game against Jackson State and Jackson State goes undefeated in the conference, those two, no matter who was the best in the SWAC West or whatever, those two would meet in the SWAC championship game on the home field in this scenario of Jackson State. And that would be the rematch that everybody would love to see. That's why you see Alabama and different teams. Well, the SEC still has divisions, but the ACC, for example, is getting rid of their divisions. And I think part of that is because some of their better teams, which the conference is not really that good, but some of their better teams are on the same side. And so I hope that the SWAC can eventually get rid of divisions. Right. That way the two best teams can play in the SWAC championship. What's going on with you, Raymond? What's on your mind?
Hey, man, look, I am a long Jackson State fan.
Yes, sir.
And I wish people will stop saying Deion Sanders put the light on the SWAC. He did not. That's a lie.
Okay, why you say that?
If you go back, and read and dig up, I'm gonna tell you the ones that put the light on the SWAC. You go back to the Marino Castles at Alcorn. You go back to Eddie Robinson at Grambling. You go to W.C. Gordon in Jackson State. You go to the Valley with the gunslinger Archie Cooley. Man, they was averaging 70 and 80 points a game.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you go down there at Southern with Pete Richardson. Those are the ones that put the light on the SWAC. Just because Deion Sanders won 2 back-to-back SWAC championships, go do your research. How many did W.C. Gordon win? How many did
Can I push back on you for a bit, though? I'm not disagreeing with nothing you said, by the way, but I do want to push back. And so here's the thing, and here's why I don't want to step on any toes, but I think I can give a good perspective because I'm not from Mississippi. I'm not from the SWAC. I'm an outsider, but I love it, right? Like I'm an outsider that kind of adopted this, that really loves this thing. What I will say is all of those things that you're saying are true. Hell, the 49ers, Bill Walsh, a lot of his West Coast offense comes from the offense that they ran at Mississippi Valley. So I get it. I'm right there with you. What I will say is, though, all of those teams, people that you're knowing, they had a light in their region. The SWAC was regional. It was very regional when it came to what I mean by that. It was big in Mississippi. It's big in Alabama. It's big in Louisiana. It was somewhat big in Texas. It had a nice little base, and it has some folks in Florida. But when Deion came, and with the advantage and the invention of social media and all the press that he was bringing, he made the SWAC global. He made the SWAC, and we can't deny it. He made this, and not to say that wasn't never national before, right? The previous caller brought up Steve McNair, but Steve McNair was in the 90s.
That's right.
We're 24 years removed from the 90s, right? But Deion came and made the joint global. Like folks that had never heard of black college football are now forever fans. People that hadn't 2 years ago, they had never heard of it, and now they're forever fans. They're completely locked in.
Well,
and now you have other.
How is that possible?
What do you mean?
How is that possible?
What do you mean? How
is that possible when Jackson State have 4 Hall of Famers? Who don't know the Hall of Famers that come from Jackson State? Who don't know the Hall of Famers that come from Grambling?
No, I mean it's not to be argumentative, but this is just the truth. I just
what rock have they been living under?
It's not that
what rock have they been living on?
It's not that they have been living under a rock. It's just the truth. It's just I'm a young man from Louisville, Kentucky. I didn't know Jackie Slater went to Jackson State. I didn't know Robert Brazile went to. I knew Walter Payton did, and I knew Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley. But I didn't know Jackson State had more Hall of Famers than any other school in Mississippi. I didn't know South Carolina State had more Hall of Famers than Clemson before I got into this thing. Like,
wow!
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's just the truth. That is just the truth.
And then, I mean, people want to say they're just not hearing about Jackson State. I was in the military, and I was stationed in Virginia. When Jay Walker was playing up there at Howard, when they played, when Alcorn went up and played them, I mean, wow.
I mean, yeah. Once again, once again, Jay Walker played in like the mid 2000s. That's 20 years ago. Guys that are guys and gals that are like in my generation. I'm 27 years old. I didn't know Jay Walker was.
So they don't want.
I'm just being honest. I know who Jay Walker was before I started.
Wow.
Before I started, keeping it a bean with you. Like,
man, that's mind blowing.
I mean, all I can be is completely transparent. We have 2 HBCUs in my state of Kentucky. We have Kentucky State University.
Right, Kentucky State.
Which no one pays attention. I mean, just no offense to Kentucky State. Nobody pays attention to Kentucky State except for Kentucky State alums. And now we have Simmons College of Kentucky. But they were a Bible college for the first 50 years of existence. They just became an HBCU in the last 2 or 3 years. And so therefore, in a state like this, a lot of people just didn't know. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Like I'm not.
Oh my goodness. I'm blown away, man. I'm blown away.
Truth, man. That's just the truth. And that. But the thing is, that's why I will say Deion was important, right? Like you feel however you feel about his exit, but his importance was he converted a lot to black college football fans that had never heard of black college football, period. And that you can.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say this. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna say this. Deion Sanders' exit don't bother me one way or the other. Because that's like I tell people, it was a Jackson State before he came there. Absolutely. It was a Jackson State that made Deion Sanders, and it's going to be a Jackson State tomorrow.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that, sir. And that's why I say, like, that's why I came on here and with such glowing remarks after my visit to Jackson, because, like, I was covering it from afar, and I loved it. I was like, yo, it looks so lit, looks so dope. But then going there, and it's like, whoa. Oh, this TV is one thing. You know what I mean? Reading the posts, looking at people's lives, watching people's videos, like, oh, that's one thing. To actually go to the vet, and they told me it was only like.
Have you actually?
I was like, whoa, this is 70%. Like this is what 70% looks like. Like this is crazy.
But see, I grew up in this stuff. I'm from Mississippi. I'm only 35 miles from the vet. Mm-hmm. So when I was a little kid, when Alcorn and Slick Bourne and them came to Jackson to play Willie Satellite Titan and Jerry World Rock, I was there. I was at that game. I got that for my birthday present. So, I mean, I've been around the greats. And yes, I know Steve McNair personally.
That's awesome.
His family is only 9 miles from where I live. His son, his second oldest son, is my stepson. So I've been around all the greats. I know what it is to be at a Jackson State when you had Houston Hoover up there, when you had Darren Connors up there, when you had Louis Tillman up there. So I don't disagree with you about the change, or should I say, the reoccurrence that Deion brought back Jackson State football to their glory days. I don't disagree with you on that. But Deion Sanders is not bigger than Jackson State.
Man, I'll give you that.
And he never will be.
I appreciate you calling, sir. Thank you so much, sir. But I appreciate it. Be sure to call again.
All right, man.
All right, appreciate it. No, I mean, yeah, we know Jackson State. I mean, he's gonna be good, man. Coach TC, you see how he's recruiting? You see these dudes that he's bringing in, and I got a couple of these dudes coming on my show. A bunch of them been over to Tiger Talk. Be sure to go check them out. The interviews, I think they have 7. McGee, Jason Brown. They got it. They had everybody on there. I don't know. Tiger Talk. I got a few dudes coming on. We had Josh Short today. Josh Short was awesome. I think we got Jason Brown, the quarterback. Go a little longer, in-depth interview with him, talking about his journey. Jason Brown, the quarterback, he's coming to Jackson State. He's actually there. He just made the trip. He got to Jackson. He's getting settled. We'll have him on the show tomorrow. He's 6'3", 230, and I chatted with him a little bit today, and he was telling me how his favorite routes to throw are deep balls. He likes to throw the post is his favorite route, and he can throw it 70 to 75 yards off a 3-step drop. I just want to put that out there. He says 70 to 75 yards off a 3-step drop, and he plans on launching that thing to all them boys on the outside. Trevante, if Willie comes back, Rico, Malachi. And who is the player? Actually, since we got a couple hundred people here in the chat, first of all, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all for tuning in. Call in if you want to. There's the number on the screen. And also, tell me, who do you think? Because I was talking to somebody in one of the comments. Who do you believe is the best wide receiver on Jackson State roster right now? Who do you believe is the best wide receiver on Jackson State roster right now? You guys, if you're a fan of this show, you know who my favorite receiver is on the show. My favorite receiver on the show, on the team, my favorite receiver is none other than Malachi Wideman. I think Malachi Wideman is a pro. I think Malachi Wideman has not just NFL talent. I think he has first half of the draft talent. I think Wideman, and a lot of y'all, shout out to Doc Holliday too, man. Doc has a great show. Be sure to check out HBCU Overdrive with Doc, by the way. But unproven QBs, and we'll talk about this. We'll talk about the unproven QBs thing, because this is interesting. And Trevante, I love Trevante's game. Trevante has a crazy good game. I think so. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Malachi's. I see a lot of Malachi. Yeah, so y'all on the same wavelength as me. Y'all on the same thing as me. The Malachi is just insanely talented, and I couldn't, the grades thing. I understand. You gotta get your grades together, whatnot. Like I'm not here to rucker, and I like Trevante's game. And the fact that Trevante and Malachi just didn't play at all last year just totally blew my mind. I just couldn't. Malachi had 12 touchdowns the year before. Now, granted, they said he had some grade issues, some academic issues, and I get that. But Trevante not playing last year, I think we're gonna see a change in that. I think with TC being their wide receiver coach and TC now being the head coach, I think we're gonna see a lot more Malachi and a whole lot more Trevante. Because when Trevante Rucker got in, who was that? Was that against who was that game with Trevante? And I wish I could play it. Where Trevante made one of the best catches all year. He was barely playing. He was a backup. They wasn't showing him no love. He wasn't getting no burn, no clock, no nothing. And he goes in there and gets a bad ball from, I think, JP, and just makes probably the best catch all year. And I'm like, yo, how does that guy not get any playing time? Like, how is that guy not playing? This dude is extremely talented. And to add DJ, he's a tight end. DJ can ball. Rico can play. And I can't knock that. I don't think Rico's better than Malachi. Rico can ball. Southern game. Shout out to Doc. Thank you. It was the Southern game. Yes, it was a Southern game. It was a Southern game, and Trevante probably made the best catch all year. And I'm like, yo, how's that dude not getting on the field, man? So I can't wait to see him out there. I cannot wait to see Seven McGee and however they use him. Seven McGee is going to be the ultimate X factor, the ultimate weapon. I don't know if there is a secondary in the SWAC that can cover JSU as far as the talent on the outside and the running backs. Between Irv Mulligan and Savion, 1,000-yard rusher, you got Seven McGee. Then you got Trevante, potentially bringing back Willie, Rico, and Malachi. I don't know if there's a secondary in the SWAC that can cover these guys. Now, the two biggest question marks, and they're question marks, is that offensive line. How do you rebuild that offensive line? And who is the quarterback that emerges? Who is going to be QB1? Is it going to be Jason Brown? Is it going to be Phillip Short, the Mississippi guy? Is it going to be Zy McDonald, another SIP kid? Is it going to be, is it going to be a freshman that comes in and PJ Hatter, who had 66 touchdowns during his senior year? All of those are legit valid questions. But if you get those guys, and here's the thing, with all those weapons at JSU, you don't have to come in and become you don't have to be Steve McNair. You don't have to be Steve McNair with these players. You just have to be a guy that comes in, runs the offense like it's supposed to be ran, make a few throws here and there, and don't turn the ball over. Now, granted, you got to get that O-line situated. Now, someone asked, what's going on with social media? Now, this is interesting. So during the Coach Prime era, you used to so much content during social media. Well, I think I can answer this a little bit. Now, I don't work for Jackson State. I haven't talked to anybody from Jackson State. I haven't talked to Coach TC. I don't know. I don't have no exact idea what's going on. But here's what I think. What I think is, one, it's the offseason. There's no highlights to show. There's nothing going on right now. All they're doing is going to workouts. Like, they're going and doing mat drills, and they don't even got no pads on. They're just going weightlifting and running. That's literally all they're doing right now. Weightlifting, running, and learning their new playbook, both offense and defense, because they got new coordinators. They got a new offense coordinator and a new defense coordinator. So they're learning their playbook. So you're not going to see a whole lot of social media output. I think once the spring, I think once the spring gets rolling, you'll see more and more output on the social media front. But until then, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot. I think you'll see a whole lot of action come signing day. If they're smart, they do some sort of signing day they'll do some sort of signing day press conference, and hopefully they do some social media stuff with that. They'll obviously put out all the guys that have signed. They'll make little cool graphics like they did during the early signing day, during the signing day in February. And then come spring ball, you'll see more and more guys. You'll see more and more output on the social media. Now, will it look like it did when Deion Jr. was running the social media? I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll look somewhat like that. It may not be completely like that, but I think once you start seeing the coaching staff gets announced, I think around signing day, you'll see players get announced, and you'll see more and more social media output on that end, as far as, the social media content that you're used to seeing over the last couple of years. Let me look at some more. Now this is actually cool, right? Mark Wall points this out. So, and from what I've been told, there will be night games will be returning to the vet. So a lot of y'all during them hot. Hey, shout out to y'all. That's why I know Jackson State got one hell of a fan base, because y'all was showing up with no shade inside the vet when it was 1,000 degrees outside at the 1 o'clock kickoffs. The 1 o'clock kickoffs, y'all was showing up and it was 1,000 degrees outside. Folks was passing out. Folks was out, and y'all still showed up to every damn game. That is what I call a fan base. That is what I call dedication. That is what I call, because let's be real. Let's be real. Yes, I get it. The NFL does kick off at 1 o'clock. A lot of the games in the NFL, they kick off 1 and 4:25 Eastern, and just this is how it works. But the difference between the NFL in a lot of NFL stadiums in Jackson State is a lot of NFL teams playing domes. The Falcons playing a dome. The Colts playing a dome. The Jets, not the Jets. A bunch of teams, like half the league plays in domes. And if they don't play in domes now, they'll be playing in domes soon. And so a lot of them, the Texans, like places where it's real hot, like Atlanta and Houston and Dallas, was real hot during the summer and during September, and those August, Septembers where it's like still scorching. They play in freaking domes. The Chargers, the Raiders, like all these places, Vegas, LA, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, they all play in freaking domes. So it's one thing to play, at 1 o'clock in Jackson, Mississippi, if you have a freaking dome. But a lot of us in this chat and a lot of us talking right now, we've been to the vet. And last I checked, The vet ain't no damn dome. The vet is not a dome. And so playing at the peak, the very freaking peak. Now the players on the field got water, they got cold towels, they got fans blowing mist, they got all kinds of stuff. But the fans in the stands don't. The fans in the stands don't. And so getting that night game experience, which you haven't had over the last couple of years, getting that chance to have a 7 o'clock kickoff or an 8 o'clock kickoff against Alcorn, or a 7 o'clock kickoff or an 8 o'clock kickoff against a Grambling, or a 7 o'clock, man, that's going to be lit. That's going to be lit, man. I cannot wait to be there, and I will be there. We ain't got let's get 200 likes. Shout out to good frat, Mr. Carey. Shout out to the good frat, 06 to the good bros. Check out Trey. Yes, so shout out to Wiggins. Wiggins is making great. And if you haven't, go subscribe to Trayvon Wiggins' YouTube channel. He's putting out great, kind of like insider. He said he's the new pregame show. The pregame show is relocated to Boulder, Colorado. So he said he's the new pregame show, and he's giving us a lot of insight, a lot of stuff, a lot of good things on the inside, learning all that stuff. So yeah, man, I can't wait. Let me read some of the comments. They they all own their staff. Shout out to Adrian, man. I don't know. I laugh at Adrian. He cracks me up all the time, man. He said they own their stadiums. Jackson State don't. And Jackson State probably gonna get a new stadium if it ends up happening. Oh, let me read something. Oh, Miss Yard talk. She be on them TV contracts. What you got to say? I'm interested. ESPN must not be showing the games as much. That's a good point, Miss LaShonda. So here's the thing. I did a video about this at the beginning of the 2022 season. You guys remember, HBCU Go broadcasted at least one SWAC game every single week. And on their original schedule, they had 2 Jackson State games. They had the Campbell game and they had the Bethune-Cookman game, if I'm not mistaken. They definitely had the Campbell game. They definitely had that one. And then, like a week later, that was from the leaked schedule. And then a week later, the HBCU Go schedule came out and they had no Jackson State games. It was like, what happens? Well, HBCU Go has what's called secondary rights. And ESPN has, primary rights. And so in their primary rights, they get to choose what games they want and give HBCU Go whatever's left. And if you watched any game on HBCU Go this year, you much rather have your game on HBCU Go than ESPN Plus. I'm going to repeat that one more time for the folks in the back. You much rather have your game on HBCU Go than ESPN Plus any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Now, what I will challenge every SWAC school, not just Jackson State, but each and every SWAC school to do, what they will need to do is they will need to upgrade their media departments. And by media departments, I mean upgrade their cameras, upgrade their sound system, upgrade all of that. Now it's going to cost money, and it's going to take, us and all these different folks to help them get there. But they will have to, if they want to continue to rise, right? If they want to continue to have great coaches come into the programs, great players to come into the program, great administrators to come into the programs, they have to do their job too. And we have to put the onus on the university to make sure you upgrade your facilities. And because HBCU Go, as of now, is only broadcasting 1 game a week. And so if you unfortunately have to be on ESPN Plus and not HBCU Go, then your game's probably going to be crappy. It's probably going to have a crappy quality. It's probably not going to be the way it should be. Now, if you end up on HBCU Go, like Grambling was on there like 3 times this year. Shout out to Grambling. They was on HBCU Go like 3 times, and then they had their game on NBC with the Bayou Classic. So they were straight. You're a team like Grambling, you get 3-4 games on HBCU Go or 3-4 games on national television, or Jackson State with Prime when they were getting games on ESPN2 and different things like that, then you're okay. But for the rest of the conference, the Texas Southerns, the Southern, the FAMU, everybody else who deserve Prairie View, who deserves shine and love, UAPB, Bethune-Cookman, you're going to need to upgrade those facilities. That way, when you do have to get bumped over to HBCU, to ESPN Plus or whatever, you have a good quality. The people at home is coming back. And so for someone who asked, you're asking, yes, John Huggins is back in the fold. He's back at JSU. He's going there from what I've been told. If you came in late, first of all, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe to the channel. I love all of you guys. You guys make this stuff worth doing. But yes, John Huggins is back at JSU. And from what I've been told, Barron Hobson is the next guy that they're working on. They're doing a really good job working on Barron to try to get Barron back into the fold. Barron has been a key contributor to the JSU defense along with Huggins over the last few years. Barron is a dog. I think if you get Barron Hobson back, I think that catapults you back to number 1 in the SWAC. Now you have to figure out the rest of the offensive line. You have to figure out QB1, who that's going to be. But if you get a guy like Barron Hobson back into the fold, that helps your team tremendously. If you getting a guy like John Huggins back into the fold, that helps your team tremendously. All of those things are going to help JSU moving into this 2023 season where they hope to three-peat for a SWAC championship. Now, don't get it twisted, though. Don't get it twisted. The other SWAC teams ain't just sitting on their hands. They ain't just rooting for go TC, guard the yard. Man, hell no. FAMU is out there collecting players like the Infinity Stones. Grambling's out there showing off their Louis bags and Benzes. You feel me? They doing any and everything they can to catch up because for 2 years they've been dominated by JSU. For 2 years they've seen the team on 1400 Lynch Street go out there and beat them each and every single game and represent the conference in the Celebration Bowl. For 2 years, they've watched JSU take home the SWAC championship. For 2 years, they felt like they were probably playing on an uneven playing field because of Deion Sanders and the way he was able to recruit and get resources and different things like that. For 2 years. And now they feel like they have the chance to take the title. They feel like it's their time to come up and be the top dog in the SWAC. Whether that's going to happen, we have to wait and see. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff? This is Doc Holliday, HBCU Overdrive.
What's going on, Doc? What's on with you, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. And I'm going to get ready to do my show at 8 o'clock with John Crossman. People need to check that out.
Yes, sir.
But, yeah, I'm like what you said. Like, my whole thing is we have to take control, not say take control, but take more of an initiative when it comes to what's going on right now.
What you mean? Talk to me.
Meaning like we, take advantage. That's what I mean. Take advantage of what's going on right now. Like with Ed Reed, you got Ed Reed coming in. So, like market Ed Reed. You need to market Ed Reed. It's the same thing you did with you market Jackson State, you market Ed Reed and Bethune. Just market all the schools out, that's out there, and try to put us back. We're gonna be back. I mean, because the SWAC is gonna stay at the top, regardless of the situation that what happened with Coach Prime and stuff like that. But I just think we just need to kind of take advantage of it, and that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Put my 2 cents in.
Yes,
just take advantage of like social media and everything.
I completely agree with you.
And also, because I'm a Jackson State alum, bro. Them 1 o'clock games do not feel right, bro. We used to go to the game at like 6 o'clock in the evening. We weren't used to being on in the dead of the heat at 1 o'clock in the Mississippi fall and summer like that. We weren't used to doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they are bringing that back, the night games. And I'm glad that we got TC Taylor, phenomenal coach, phenomenal person, you know what I'm saying? Very humble. I see good things coming out of Jackson State though. But man, I'll let you have your show, bro. Just come give you a shout out.
Hey, I appreciate it as always, Doc, man. Appreciate it. Be sure to check out HBCU Overdrive with Doc Holliday, man, over there. Be sure to subscribe to that channel. But I just want to get out. I'm gonna get out of here really quick. The thing about Ed Reed, what I will say though, I think Bethune. Well, let me take that back. I know Bethune has learned. They took the people because I know a few folks at Bethune now, just from doing this stuff. Bethune has and I think I can say this. Bethune has literally combed through everything that Jackson State did with Deion Sanders, both the good and the bad. There's some things they loved they did with Deion Sanders, and there's some things that they absolutely hated that they did with Deion Sanders. And they're hoping to build upon that, right? And if the SWAC, I think I've heard Scotty say this too before, if the SWAC, Commissioner McClellan, and all the good folks over there, if they want to continue to uplift this thing, like Doc said, they got to promote the hell out of Ed. Now, Ed hasn't been formally introduced yet. And so that won't happen until I don't think until either Monday or Tuesday, something like that. I'll be on here and let you guys know. But once Ed Reed is officially introduced, like, I get it. You want to treat all your coaches the same, and you know what I mean? You want to make them feel like they're all, but they all aren't the same. Deion Sanders ain't the same as all your other coaches. Ed Reed ain't the same as all your other coaches. You got to put some of these folks on play. You got to take advantage of having them folks in your conference. What's going on with you, boss man? You're on with Jeff.
Hey Jeff, how you doing? This is my name is Elihu Smith.
What's going on,
I'm from Virginia Union University.
Yes, sir.
I'm a former player at Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia, HBCU.
Yes, sir.
Home of Ben Wallace, Charles Oakley, Hall of Famer Herb Scott.
Yes, sir.
Now I've been listening to you talk to a lot of like the Jackson State guys and the HBCU people who trying to say that Deion Sanders did not put the light on HBCUs. Yes, he did. I am 38 years old. I played college football in an HBCU, and I didn't want to go to my HBCU. I wanted to go to, Florida State. But I'm glad that I got the HBCU experience. The HBCU experience was one of no other. It was great. I became a teacher after I graduated from my HBCU, and then I also joined the military. I'm currently in the military right now.
Okay.
But I've been following you because I followed Jackson State. I went to homecoming. My little small Division II CIAA HBCU that I went to didn't compare to what I went to homecoming Jackson State homecoming. It was a great experience. It was great.
But I wouldn't even ever homecoming. I know what it was like.
Yes, it was great. But my point of saying that is the older generation, 40 and up or 50, they're not going to understand the light that Deion Sanders brung on Jackson State. Like you said, global. He was getting players from overseas in Europe. Yes, Steve McNair and all them, but we didn't have the social media to the extent that it is now. Like, global. Like, I know people calling me, they want to go to HBCUs because they seen Deion Sanders. He's gone okay. I love what TC's doing, keeping the momentum. And I feel like all HBCUs need to do the little blogs and go live and all that. They need to do that because you need to bring light. When I played at Virginia Union, like I said, I'm the 4th all-time leading rusher there. We only had 2 ESPN games in my 4 years there. My senior year in 2007, we started out 6-0, and then we finally got an ESPN game. I'm only saying this to say we didn't get no love. We didn't get no TV shine. And then when it was time for me to go out into the 2007 draft, when I went to go interview with teams, I actually went to a HBCU All-Star game out in California. I got invited. I was one of the only Division II HBCU players that got invited to that All-Star game. And when I got to that All-Star game in California, a lot of people never even heard of my school, Virginia Union. And we have an NBA Hall of Famer. Ben Wallace is the first player to be undrafted to be in the Hall of Fame. And people don't know that he come from Virginia Union. And he's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and people didn't know that. So what I'm saying is, as far as HBCUs, period, in the 70s, before these white schools start letting black players play in these big schools, a lot of players was coming from CIAA, SIAC, MEAC, and the SWAC. They was coming and getting, and we got a lot of Hall of Famers, yes. But as far as this new generation, with all they see is Florida State, Miami, Rutgers, all they see is them on TV, Deion Sanders brought a big light. So the older guy, he got upset with you. I just wanted to call and tell it, kind of bridge that a little bit. I understand why he was upset, but he cannot diminish what Deion Sanders did. He brought a light. He made it. I like how you put that in terms of making it global. Like you said, he made it global. He just recruited a dude from England.
Yeah.
You think that dude from England would have seen us if he didn't know that a Hall of Famer, Deion Sanders, a gold jacket, was the only coach in college with a gold jacket. Now we got Ed Reed, another coach with a gold jacket. We got to keep it going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get over here, but listen, all I'm saying is we got to keep this momentum going. I was a coach at an HBCU. I was only getting paid $15,000, and I coached there for 6 years. Like, we're underpaid, and I understand what he said. He wanted to look out for his coaches. I'm glad some coaches stayed, and some people are going to take it on the chin for the cause. Everybody's not going to take it on the chin for the cause of the empowerment of Black people. So I just want to say, man, I like what you're doing. Keep up the good work. I'm glad I got through, and I appreciate you, man. I follow you. I've been following you, man. You keep up this good content.
I appreciate it, Elihu, man. Be sure to call again, man. Appreciate you calling in. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, one thing I do want to say, because I don't want to keep talking about Deion Sanders. Like, we're talking about Ed Reed, we're talking about the SWAC, we're talking about JSU, we're talking about Grambling. First of all, let me shout out to Elihu. That was a good call. Hold on. Let me, because since I got a lot of y'all in the chat, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, by the way. How do you guys feel about Grambling in the Louis bags and the Gucci bags and all of that stuff? Like, do y'all like that? Well, did y'all think that was clean? Did y'all think that was hard? Did y'all think that was corny? Like, how'd you guys feel? Let me see if I can pull up, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Grambling hosted some recruits. As far for the recruiting, for a recruiting visit weekend type thing. And they had, a lot of them were posting with like Louis bags and Gucci bags and stuff like that. Let me see if I can pull something up. I think I have one of them. One young man's name was Javen Singletary. This is kind of what it looked like. Let me go ahead and share. What you guys think? Did y'all think that was corny? Did you think that was clean? This is what was happening. So they had recruits on a visit, and they brought out the Benz trucks. You see there's some Louis Vuitton baggage. You know what I'm saying? There's some Louis, LVs, bunch of checkerboard bags, big Mercedes truck in the back. You got Coach Hugh Jackson. Shout out to Coach. Man, y'all can never get me to say a bad word about Hugh Jackson. You feel me? Hugh Jackson came on my show, so I ain't gonna never say a bad word about Coach Hugh. And he coached my Raiders. You feel me? And he had a non-losing record with the Raiders, but that's neither here nor there. But you feel me? You see, they players got the bags in the background. You know what I'm saying? They styling and profiling. Let me read some of y'all comments. How'd y'all feel about that? Y'all thought it was trash. Y'all thought it was, you know what I'm saying? They said Grambling flexing, like IG. I liked it. I didn't think it was bad neither. You know what I mean? The Power Fives do it. You know what I'm saying? At least use real products. Y'all saying these was knockoffs? Kevin, you saying these is knockoff bags? Come on, bro. I don't know, but I ain't never owned no Louis. So yeah, if the P5s do it, why not? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying too hard, tacky, we can Cord. Why was this, bro? Why are y'all mad at Coach Hugh, bro? Like, I thought it was, I don't know, they might win 4 games. Like, dang, bro. Like, I don't know. Let me read some more. Y'all comments coming terrible. Like, come on, JSU would never. Typical Grambling. Like, bro, I don't know. I thought it was kind of fly. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fly, ratchet. I thought it was all right. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't one. But then, I don't know if y'all saw. So, hold on. Let me exit out of that. I don't know if y'all saw. But someone did have something to say about this. Someone that doesn't play for Grambling. Let me see if I could find this. And it's a guy you JSU fans know kind of well. So, okay, we got another Grambling player, right? So let me go ahead and show that. We had another Grambling player that came out and said, he was showing off like the recruiting visit. You feel me? Like I said, got the Louis luggage. You know what I mean? Deion the one who said I brought my luggage with me and it's Louis. You know what I'm saying? So he was showing off the whip. Feel me? His drip, his Grambling drip. You feel me? Inside the car, on the phone with the pads, and all that is just new age stuff. I don't know. You on the phone with it, but it's got the cool little edits hitting your gritty. You know what I'm saying? Gritty started right there in Louisiana, so you got to hit the gritty one time. And so this happened. This young man put it out there. CJ put that out there. And then another is Savion Wilkerson. Savion, JSU 1,000-yard rusher, all SWAC performer, HBCU All-American. Goes, did Mercedes-Benz or Louis Vuitton give you an NIL deal for these pictures? You talk about petty. You talking about petty. And the thing is, and this is why I mess with Savion heavy, right? This is why Savion gets an A+ for this. Because here's the thing. He could have just said, did Mercedes-Benz or Louis Vuitton give the Grambling players an NIL deal for, their photo shoot or whatever? He could have did something like that. But he went to this man, this young man, CJ, he actually tagged him. Like when you quote tweet somebody, they actually see this. And so he didn't subtweet. He didn't sneak this. He asked a genuine question like, yo, you take a lot of pictures with Gucci bags and Louis bags and you know what I'm saying, and Mercedes-Benz, but are they paying y'all for this? Are you getting any bread from this? Are you making any money from this? And the answer is no. Now, that's not to say young CJ or any of these other Grambling ballers can't get NIL. I don't know if Louis Vuitton does NIL deals. Mercedes does, definitely. We know Shadori got one. But that was just funny. I just thought that was funny. I don't know. Oh, what do y'all think? Yeah, I think that was funny because I thought it was hilarious. The fact that he didn't sneak this. Now, I thought, now what, Miss LaShawn? I know she ain't just going to let me sit there and let Savion get that off like that. She going to say, does Savion have any? You ain't going to talk about Grambling without Miss Love coming through like, yo, I mean, Savion, you got a whole lot to say. What's your NILs looking like? You know what I'm saying? The answer is no. Well, I don't know what this answer is, honestly. Shout out to Savion. But that was funny. It was all love. Shout out to Savion. Shout out to Grambling. Yeah, I know I'm always rocking with the Gram fam. You know what I'm saying? Coach Hugh Jackson came on my show. I mean, you forever locked in. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no switching up. But I got to get out of here, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, this is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube. Be sure to hit that thumbs up before you head out. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, some of the funny things that I put out there on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and I'll be on TikTok sometimes. TikTok, it's at JLightsy7. You can go follow me right there. Thank you as always so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you guys next time.